Finally, Imarai, humanitarian workers are reportedly unable to move around freely due to the bridges that were destroyed by the floods. What can you tell us about that?
Well, it is not just one bridge that was destroyed by this particular incident. 4 bridges. One, the particular bridge behind the Angwa House, our community, that houses the rail line, as well as the Mokwa Metropolitan Bridge that is connecting the northern part of Nigeria, as well as the southern part of Nigeria. Also, the College of Agriculture Bridge, that one too was affected. Even the bridge connecting Raba and Mokwa, that too was affected. The deputy governor even made case for residents in Raba, saying since that flood happened, they found it difficult to connect from Raba to Mokwa. They have to go 20 kilometers, turn round before they could find themselves in Mokwa, and it affected the socio-economic lifestyle of the people. Well, the vice president said this is one of the priorities of the federal government, that the Minister of Work has been duly assigned to ensure the rehabilitation of these bridges. As we speak currently, works are ongoing on the Mokwa Metropolitan Bridge, and within few days, maybe a few weeks, we'll hope that this works will be completed to ensure the free flow of activities and resumption of socio-economic lives of these people in Niger State.
Joshua Marai, our correspondent there for us, thank you so much for your reporting. Now let's bring in Dr. Rauf Sakariyau, a policy analyst. He joins me from Abuja for more on the story. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you can hear me very well, my question to you would be, how would you grade, how would you assess the Vice President's visit? Was it necessary? How would it impact the victims of this flooding?
Well, actually, ordinarily, what the government should have done earlier was to be a kind of proactive. You know, major problem in policy in Nigeria is about it not being done in a proactive manner. But despite the fact that we've seen the scenario in Mokwa, which has led to a high level of casualty, and by the federal government intervention promising to release 2 billion relief package, of course, it is a good way of trying to showcase, government concern to the people. But however, the utility or the distribution formula might be another different ballgame. Because in Nigeria, we are very good when it comes to policy framework, but what about the implementation? So my major concern is the utility of the so-called relief. How will it get to the affected people? Hope it's not going to be a business as usual, whereby some individuals that might be part of the committee that might likely be set up will capitalize on, enriching their personal pocket, all in the name of trying to send relief to the people of Mokwa. Because the major problem with Nigeria's policy making is how to do with implementation. So ideally, if such package could get to the needy, fine, but the issue is how would they be able to access it? That's number one. Number two, what has been the government plan strategically in ensuring that those funds will be effectively utilized? Because corruption is across all spectrum of Nigeria. Despite the devastated, tendency we are seeing in Mokwa now, some we see as an avenue for them to also become rich. That has been the major problem, and that is my own concern when it comes to this issue of policy, government coming up with distribution of some relief, government promising 2 billion.
Right.
This is a very good fund. If ordinarily it was used, to curtail some of those unwanted circumstances.
Dr. Rauf Sakariyau, I wanted us to take a look at the video that we've been playing of the topography of that area, Mokwa, just like the muddy sand there. Take a look at this. This area already looks like an area that is susceptible to flooding. What sort of lack of policy or its inadequacy has led to this present moment? I mean, take a look at this. Any sane, local government or government would know that this is an area that should probably either be well built when it comes to homes or should not be inhabited at all, because it definitely looks like something that could get easily flooded. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, certainly when you look at the issue of this flooding in Mokwa, it was caused by so many factors. Largely, most of those buildings were not perfectly regularized because people are being allowed to build close to an environment that could result to, environmental hazard. So when you look at that scenario, these were, communities that is very close to high level of ecological issue. And people building houses closer to that areas, which ordinarily they could have been cautioned against that. So you could see that that place should have been left for a proper drainage. Don't forget, part of the problems over there was insufficient or what we call inadequate drainages. Despite the claim from the federal government that it was as a sort of heavy rainfall and the blockage of Dingy River, that issue which actually led to this high level of damage experienced in Mokwa. But the fact remains that people building houses close to, environmental degradation area, because some of those houses were not supposed to be in those places ab initio. Then, because of lack of proper planning, lack of government intervention earlier on, which actually led to some of those situations we are seeing, and that is why you could see, look at those bridges. These are places that ordinarily they were not supposed to even allow, what is called housing. Any accommodation shouldn't have been built closer to those environments because they portend serious ecological crisis. The level of hazard was glaring, and that is why when the rainfall happened, when they witnessed high level of rainfall, they could not curtail the damages.
Right. I don't know about you, but I like to go to the market. I do it a lot. And a lot of market people are beginning to, sellers in the market women and men, they're beginning to connect the rising prices of food. Trust me, there's been a difference between last week and this week to what's going on in Mokwa. We're going to see the story unfold, hopefully in the next few days, that trucks are not able to move. You know that the Middle Belt, is the breadbasket of the nation, where there's a lot of farming and all of that. The link between food prices and this crisis, do you see a link there? And how should we prepare for it?
Of course, what happened because of the circumstance, it has now snowballed to another economic hardship. Like what you have said, the 2 bridges or 3 that have been washed away with the heavy rainfall has actually affected, easy transportation when it comes to economic transportation of goods from one place to another. Don't forget that Mokwa is a very strategic place when you are trying to link the north to the south. And there is no way, when there is a problem with transportation, you could not move products from one state or from one community to another. It's going to have economic implication on the people. And that's why most of the products over there, of course, they might have been skyrocketed. And based on what we are experiencing presently in Nigeria in terms of inflation and some of the commodities, becoming, having high prices, the implication is that the present scenario in Mokwa, it has also resulted to high level of economic hazard. And that's why you can see some of the streets have even become markets because of the fact that some of those products could not be transported to their proper destinations. And invariably, the marketers, those bringing products from one state to another, they also need to sell their goods, though they have not actually gotten to their final destination. So by implication, you could see one of the consequences of the flood is the economic implication it has, because certainly some of the products will become more, expensive, and for people to have access to some of the expected commodities, they might not find them in the market. So there is a linkage. It's a kind of a snowball effect of the consequence of the flood that happened in Mokwa, and that is what is snowballing to economic depression, or what you can call cost of commodities in the environment.
All right, then. Thank you so much for your thought, Dr. Rauf Sakariyau, a policy analyst. Thank you for joining us tonight.